Okay, let's unpack this. There's this concept in public relations, AVE, advertising value equivalency.
All right.
And it feels a bit like that rumor you just can't shake off. It's been called inaccurate so many times, but it just, well, it sticks around.
It does, doesn't it? It's kind of strange.
So why? Why is this metric, which so many people say is misleading, still even part of the conversation?
Yeah, it is a really fascinating question, especially now, with all the sophisticated tools and data we have available.
Right.
Relying on something so, basic.
Yeah.
It definitely makes you wonder.
Totally. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive based on an article called Breaking Up with AVE, the toxic relationship PR refuses to end.
Ooh, strong title.
Isn't it? And our mission here isn't just to figure out why this zombie metric, as the author calls it.
He calls it a zombie metric. I like that.
Yeah. Why it's so problematic, but also, to look at better ways to actually measure PR's impact. So think of this as your shortcut to understanding a pretty big debate in the PR world.
And it's worth knowing, the author, Philip, from P+ Measurement Services, he has a very clear stance.
No kidding.
Yeah, this isn't a wishy-washy piece. It's a strong call for the industry to ditch AVE. Philip works a lot in Africa, and he's really pushing for better PR measurement there. This article definitely reflects that.
Got it. Okay, so let's get right to it. What's the main problem with AVE? Why is it seen as so flawed for PR?
Well, at its core, the big issue is that it just completely misrepresents what PR is actually worth.
How so?
It tries to slap a price tag on earned media coverage, newspaper articles, TV spots, by basically saying, okay, this much space or time would have cost this much if you'd bought it as advertising.
Okay. I see the issue already.
Right. Because PR and advertising are fundamentally different beasts. Earned media, that comes with a level of third-party credibility that you just don't get with an ad you paid for.
So treating them the same dollar for dollar just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. It just doesn't reflect how things actually work.
That clicks. The article uses this interesting mirror analogy, doesn't it, to show how shallow AVE is. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, it's a good one. The author basically says using AVE is like looking in a mirror and thinking you see the whole person, their entire character.
Okay.
The mirror, like ADE, just shows you the surface, the potential cost of the media space you got.
Just the reflection.
Just the reflection. It completely misses the important stuff, the substance underneath. Things like, did it actually improve the company's reputation? Did it build trust with the audience? Did it create those long-term connections PR is supposed to foster?
Right, all that deeper influence.
Yeah. AVE only cares about the immediate visible output, not the actual, impact.
So it's looking purely at a theoretical cost saving, maybe, instead of the real benefits PR brings.
Precisely.
And those benefits, like the article says, they're often intangible, right? Reputation, trust. How can AVE possibly capture those?
Well, that's the point. It can't. Not even close. AVE completely ignores all that crucial stuff.
Yeah.
It boils down all the careful strategic work of PR into this simple, almost crude calculation: column inches times ad rate.
Doesn't sound very sophisticated.
It's not. It doesn't care about the strategy behind it or who was reached or what messages got across or, and this is key, whether it actually helped the client achieve their goals.
Okay, now the article's title mentions a toxic relationship. It's pretty strong language. Why call it that? What's making the industry so resistant to letting AVE go?
The author points to a few things, and vanity is a big one.
Vanity, really?
Yeah. Look, AVE can produce some really big, impressive-sounding numbers. You get a lot of media hits. Maybe they're not even that great or targeted, but AVE translates that volume into this huge supposed ad value.
So it looks good on paper.
Exactly. It can create this sort of false sense of achievement. It's an easy number to stick in a report, makes everyone feel like something big happened, even if the number itself doesn't really mean much.
So it's like a security blanket.
Kind of, yeah. A security blanket woven from big but maybe hollow figures.
Interesting. So it's familiar, maybe easy, even if it's not accurate. And the article makes the point that kind of surprised me. It suggests it's not always the clients demanding AVE.
Yeah, that's a really crucial point the author makes. He argues that quite often it's actually some PR professionals themselves who keep AVE going.
Why would they do that?
Well, it could be a few reasons. Maybe a lack of awareness about better ways to measure. Maybe a reluctance to, invest the time or resources in more detailed analysis, or maybe just inertia. This is how we've always done it.
Huh.
It's maybe an uncomfortable idea, but the article suggests the demand isn't always external. Makes you wonder if some are using it because it can perhaps paper over a lack of real demonstrable impact.
Which brings us back to why it's so misleading for judging if a campaign actually worked. We know it mixes up PR and advertising value, but what else makes it unreliable?
Well, there's another good analogy in the article for this, trying to measure how good a story is by using a stopwatch.
Okay, how's that work?
AVE is like the stopwatch. It only measures the output, how much coverage you got, the sheer volume, like how long the story ran.
Right, the quantity.
Exactly. It tells you nothing about the outcome. Did the right people see it? Did they get the message? Did it change anyone's mind or make them do something? AVE can't tell you any of that. It's purely quantitative in a field where qualitative understanding is, frankly, vital.
And if the industry keeps using it, that sounds like it could actually damage PR's credibility overall.
The author is pretty blunt about that, yeah. Using AVE risks misleading clients about the real value they're getting.
Okay.
It can also misdirect PR teams, making them chase column inches instead of actual strategic goals. And importantly, it holds back the adoption of better, more objective standards across the board.
So it prevents progress, in a way.
Definitely. If PR's worth keeps getting framed in these inflated, irrelevant advertising terms, we're not showing off what PR really does uniquely and powerfully for an organization. It gives this very narrow, often wrong picture.
So the push is to get beyond these vanity metrics, as the article calls them, towards something more substantial.
That's the call to action, yes.
What does that look like then? What should people be focusing on instead?
It needs to shift towards, transparency and objectivity, proving PR's value based on the actual goals of a campaign.
So less about cost, more about objectives.
Exactly. Instead of asking, how much would this have cost as an ad, the question should be, did we reach the right audience? Did we get our key messages across effectively? And the big one, did this PR activity actually help us achieve our business or organizational goals? It's about measuring against the intended results.
Makes sense. But the article admits changing this isn't easy. AVE is really dug in. How do you even start to tackle that resistance?
Yeah, the author acknowledges that. It's deeply rooted. The goal isn't just to kill off AVE, but to actively replace it with better options.
So fill the vacuum.
Right. And that's going to take effort. People are used to AVE, Familiarity is comfortable even if the familiar thing isn't great. So overcoming that means really showing the extra value, the credibility that comes with more rigorous measurement.
Showing how it helps everyone, basically.
Yeah, helping PR pros prove their worth properly and helping clients truly understand the return they're getting on their investment.
And education seems like a huge piece of this puzzle. Educating PR folks, but also the clients, right? Explaining why AVE is bad and what good measurement looks like.
Absolutely critical. The article really stresses this. Both sides need to be brought along.
How so?
Well, PR pros need to learn and use the better methods, sure, but they also need to get good at explaining AVE's flaws to clients and articulating the benefits of measuring against objectives.
Like explaining other concepts.
Exactly, like return on objective, or ROO, that's mentioned. Unlike AVE's attempt to put a dollar value on everything, ROO asks, did we achieve the specific communication goals we set out to achieve?
That's it.
Maybe increased brand awareness in a specific group, or shifting public opinion on an issue, or generating qualified leads. It measures success against the intended outcomes, not some fictional ad cost.
Gotcha. So wrapping up, what's the real bottom line? What's the biggest danger if the PR industry keeps clinging to AVE?
The fundamental danger, really, is that it just keeps undervaluing what PR actually achieves by using a metric that totally misses the point. The strategic thinking, the relationship building, the reputation management, all the stuff that's core to PR. If we keep using AVE, we're basically undermining our own profession's true value.
So the call is clear. Move on.
Definitely. Move towards more intelligent, objective metrics that actually reflect the real long-term, often complex work that PR professionals do.
And speaking of moving on, the author actually recommends further reading, doesn't he? Almost like homework.
He does, yeah. Philip strongly suggests that anyone who really wants to get why AVE is so bad should read 22 Reasons to Say No to AVEs by Richard Bagnall. Presents it as pretty much essential reading for anyone serious about getting past these old metrics.
Right. So if we boil down this whole deep dive, the main takeaway from the article is crystal clear, isn't it?
Pretty much.
AVE is misleading. It doesn't accurately show the value or impact of PR. It's a zombie metric,
Yeah.
and it's time for the industry to, finally let it go.
Exactly. It's superficial. It distracts from the real, valuable work. Building trust, protecting reputation, fostering those key relationships. That's the core of PR.
It really makes you think, though. What other outdated metrics, maybe not just in PR, but in other fields, are just kind of lingering? Holding back progress, maybe giving people a false sense of knowing what's going on. It makes you wonder what zombie metrics might be lurking in areas you care about or in your own work. And what would a truly meaningful measure of success look like instead?
That's a great question to ponder. Definitely food for thought.